This week, we're going to discuss political parties. Probably the two largest that we have in the States are the Democrats and the Republicans that spun out of some of the earlier parties and actually then morphed into what we know as the Democrats and Republicans today. And they basically came about when the Federalist Papers were written. They have changed over time, but more or less, the Democrats tend to favor more social programs, and the Republicans tend to favor more uh, laissez faire. Um, Government sort of takes a back seat. This has changed over time, and both do advocate social welfare programs, but it is changing as we've seen with this upcoming election. There are more growing parties, third party that are called like grassroots or independents. Most of the Tea Party as well. Most of these don't really have a chance, but they sort of do show that there is lack of trust in the Democratic or Republican Party, and therefore these other parties are sort of starting to gain momentum. However, in most elections, and especially at the national level, they don't have the clout to actually get their candidate in, but it does go to show sort of a voice of discontent for the people. Also, we're going to discuss interest groups. There are a lot of different interest groups. Some of the more large ones are the United Auto Workers, AFL-CIO, NRA, the National Rifle Association, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD. These are all just some of the interest groups that sort of spin to lobby Congress for the interest of the people that they're supposed to be representing. And they are good for the most part. However, they can be somewhat dangerous in the fact that they are forming these PACs or political action committees, and they can sort of convince people or Congress that they need to do things. And sometimes, with enough money, legislation is made when it is not always in the best interest of the people. So I guess money does make the world go round. We're going to also discuss state legislature. And I mentioned before that with the state legislature, the only state, Nebraska, that has a different or unicameral House is Nebraska. Everything else has a bicameral or a state, a Senate, and a House of Representatives. There are three functions, and they are policymaking, representation, and oversight. And we're going to discuss how they do that, even with one house vice two houses, and how they rotate for consistency and alternate rotation, if you will, for having your representatives and Congress. There are also different kinds of legislature at different levels. You've got more full-time, more part-time, and more hybrid. The lower townships and all, these people also work, and then they're part of Congress. The more at the state level, that tends to be their full-time job, although some of them are consultants and lawyers. So we're going to sort of discuss how that comes into play, as well as the different committees. You've got joint committees, conference committees, interim committees. Basically, there are heaps of committees. And then we've got the governor. The governor is basically the face or the head of the state. He serves for a finite period. He is elected into office, or she, and there's also lieutenant governor. And this is very interesting to see, especially with schools, how the governor and the legislature deal with education. That seems to be a hot topic, and a lot of states have even gone to lottos or lotteries to help fund this. We're going to talk about the economics of it and the power to veto. Just like in the federal government, the state government can veto it through the governor. So we will be discussing that this week, and you'll have to read the chapter, look over the videos, as well as participate in the discussions. Thanks.